Welcome to the future of Delphi development. Introducing OpenAPI Client Wizard, the ultimate plugin for ROD Studio that will revolutionize the way you implement REST API clients. As Delphi developers, we've all faced the challenge of implementing REST API clients. Finding Delphi code snippets in API documentation is nearly impossible. Instead, we're often met with examples in Curl, Go, C#, Ruby, and many other languages, but rarely in Delphi. Let me try some famous APIs and their documentation references. For example, OpenAI, which is known for ChatGPT. Where can I find some code snippets? Let me see. Should be in the chat section. Yes, as you can see here, there are some code snippets, but in Python and Node.js. Of course, we can use curl and transform it into Pascal, but it can be a time-consuming job. So what do? We dive into the API documentation, painstakingly implementing each method, get, post, put, delete, one by one. Even with Swagger or OpenAPI specifications, it's a time-consuming process. Without these specifications, we resort to tools like Delphi's REST Debugger or Postman, testing each method and then manually coding them into our projects. With OpenAPI Client Wizard, you can read Swagger specifications and generate a fully implemented client-side project in Delphi, ready to compile in just 2 to 3 seconds. Imagine the time you'll save, weeks of work reduced to mere seconds. OpenAPI Client Wizard does the heavy lifting, so you can focus on what really matters, building amazing applications. No more manual coding. No more testing each method individually. The OpenAPI Client Wizard supports both JSON and YAML formats and can even convert Postman collections into a complete Delphi client project. Watch as it reads the Swagger specifications and generates the full project, ready to compile and run. Whether you're working on a small project or a large enterprise application, OpenAPI Client Wizard is the tool you need to streamline your workflow and boost your productivity. Supports Swagger and OpenAPI specifications in both JSON and YAML formats, converts Postman collections to Delphi projects, generates fully implemented client-side projects in seconds. Okay, let me install this plugin and show you how it works. It's actually a BPL standard Delphi package and very easy to install. Just right-click on the project node, then build and install. Done. After installation, you must see a new option in the Project Wizards list called OpenAPI Client Project. Now let's try it with some API specifications and see the result. I'll go with Swagger, which is the most used API specification at the time as far as I know. As you can see, there are some preferences to have more control over the final project. For example, I would like to have a prefix or a suffix for each method name to be more readable. Finally, hit the Create Client Project button and wait a second for the process. Done. Now, like any normal VCL application, you must save each new unit to be usable in other units, so do not forget to save all, otherwise it won't be compiled properly. The structure of the produced project is simple and clean. You can use it as it is or apply your desired changes based on your needs. This plugin will create a unit called client class, including implementation of all API methods in order by the method types. It will create a middle unit to shape the HTTP request. This unit includes a class called API structure that is responsible for sending requests and receiving responses, and finally, there is a simple VCL form which produced just for demonstration based on the method names and method count. It will be designed at runtime when you run the project. But as I mentioned, this VCL form is just for demonstration. You can get the idea of calling methods inside the form's code. Each button's on-click event includes a code sample to call one of the API methods with default values. Let's try another sample with a Postman collection. The process is the same, and I repeat, the structure of the produced project is simple. It will create a unit called client class, including implementation of all API methods in order by the method types. It will create a middle unit to shape the HTTP request. This unit includes a class called API structure that is responsible for sending requests and receiving responses, and finally, there is a simple VCL form which produced just for demonstration based on the method names and method counted. Will be designed at runtime when you run the project. But as I mentioned, this VCL form is just for demonstration. You can get the idea of calling methods inside the form's code. These codes are unnecessary. It's just a dynamic design of buttons. But here you have a sample API method call. Do not forget to give a star to the repository on GitHub if you find it useful.